If you would like to have your query letter critiqued but don't want to pay to have that happen, it can be done for free, but it will be public out here on my socials. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. Housekeeping: if you would like to submit for this process, the information on how to do so is in my bio, along with information on how to submit to my editing business if you don't want it to be done publicly and you want to get 3 rounds of editing focused specifically on your letter and get a couple of different tries at it. And if you don't want to wait for either of those because the line is very long for both of them, I do have a querying series linked down below that is only $30 for 3.5 hours of content that goes through the entire process of querying, including before and after letters of clients of mine who have gone on to sign with literary agents or find publishing deals. And lastly, there is a real life person on the other side of this, and so we are going to be constructive, not destructive, in criticism because it is hard to hear, and we are all on a journey learning together, and this person definitely does not need everyone jumping in the comments and telling them to just self-publish. All right, so let's dive in. For readers that enjoy a story of siblings grappling with conflicting memories of their mother, as in Leanne Moriarty's Apples Never Fallen, and alternating viewpoints displaying the unraveling of a family, as in Shilpi Sumaya Gowda's A Great Country, Our Mother is a 74,000-word upmarket fiction novel. Those comps are excellent and fantastic. Word count sounds good. All of this sounds like you know exactly the market that you are writing for. This is great. The members of the DuPont family, her 2 daughters and 2 granddaughters, who's her, I think maybe we have this in a funky order here, have inherited several things from Pauline DuPont. Okay, so Pauline, I assume, is the her here, but this, again, funky order. The recently murdered 72-year-old TikTok sensation, that seems like a thing that you might want to lead with. So like recently murdered elderly TikTok sensation, something along those lines. Pauline left or bequeathed some things to her family members. So genetic predisposition for depression, musical talents, extensive jewelry collection, and most significantly her enemies. That is a kind of a long list. Obviously, like, it's not actually like 4 things. It's not really that many things, but it feels lengthy because none of them are like single word or very quick phrasing. So genetic predisposition for depression and musical talents, extensive jewelry collection, and most significantly. So it is longer than you would expect in like something that felt like it was going to be really snappy. So a murdered 72-year-old TikTok sensation feels like it's going to be like really snappy, really grabby. And then we kind of had this wordy list here. And 74,000 words tells me that you're probably not an overwriter. And so this feels a little bit messy right now. Marcia and Abby DuPont have very different recollections of their mother. So you told us this up here already. While Abby remembers feeling seen and valued, Marcia recalls a mother who criticized everything and neglected Marcia when she explicitly asked for help after Pauline has been strangled to death. So now you've mentioned her murder twice. This is now starting to, like, we're definitely doubling down on that overwritten feeling. The DuPont women find themselves in new territory, each facing unique challenges while feeling more disconnected from each other than ever. So we're now 2 paragraphs deep on the plot summary, and I don't know what's happening. So a woman was murdered. Tragedy, obviously, but you've told us like several different ways that the family is not super connected, that this is not a very functional, very healthy family, but that's all that we have. That's not a story, that is like a concept, and it's a pretty common one at that. After Marcia falls down a staircase at her daughter's 13th birthday party, she can't seem to shake the negative feelings that stalk her. A combination of grief and seasonal depressive disorder making even the simplest things in life a struggle. So a combination of grief and this is, so that is grammatically correct, but you stumble over it a little bit. So again, back to that feeling of sort of like overwrought and overwritten. Worse, as both her daughters enter adolescence, so typo, Marcia feels like she's losing the one thing in her life she has prioritized over everything else. Wrong punctuation, her relationship with them. So again, we have just a disconnected family. That's all that we have really gotten here. We still don't know what Marcia wants. We don't know what is standing in her way. We just have sort of a vaguely dysfunctional family, but there's not even anything really specifically here to point to like why this family is having so many problems. It's just like, we're not connected to each other, and that's not enough to go on. Abby and her husband are dinks. Abby is the sister, so now we've got a second point of view. Double income, no, I think we know what dinks means. They've built an identity about living a childless existence, so now you've told it the same thing 3 times. After all, as her sister loves to point out, Abby doesn't have the resilience to be a mother. That I would cut all of that. So I like get to this. We are finally getting to some of the meat of that toxicity. Like dial into that instead of like telling us what very common acronyms are. Now pregnant, looking ahead to the journey of motherhood, Abby is unsure of her future. So now you've repeated the same thing. So she's unsure of herself because her sister has been cutting her down, but you said it twice. Additionally, her mother's belongings, including a very valuable, so we have some punctuation issues here, and sentimental jewelry collection has gone missing. When Abby's pregnancy proves more difficult than she imagined, she finds herself unsure of who she can trust. Why? Like, that doesn't seem like we're being overly vague, and we still haven't gotten to an actual story. Like, jewels have gone missing. That's sort of the first like piece of a story that we can latch onto. 15-year-old River. Oh, we now have a third point of view. This is going to get messy here. 15-year-old River can't let her grandma's legacy die with the help of her new boyfriend. River is able to spark life back into her grandma's TikTok account. The problem, we have punctuation problems all over the place. River's mom has strict rules about the internet, and River is breaking all of them. With her sister occupied with, so now we have a fourth point of view. So all four of the women in this story have a point of view, but they've all been listed in the query letter. With her sister occupied with her new boyfriend, Rain doesn't know how to cope with her loneliness. A new math tutor and a friend online give Rain the companionship she desires, but are they truly friends? Are they true friends, or do they have ulterior motives? So we've talked about rhetorical questions. Are they true friends? No. Then if we can answer it with a no or who cares, then it's a bad question to have in there. You want to reframe it in a way that is more of like a hypothetical. Okay, so we have four main characters. What do they want? One of them is lonely, and one of them wants to resurrect grandma's legacy. But even that, like, that's not super clear, and those are kind of tucked down here at the bottom. What are they willing to do to get it? Go on the internet as teenagers? That doesn't seem like a difficult thing. That doesn't seem like a stretch. Doesn't seem like we're asking that much of them. What stands in their way? Their mom is strict, or one of their moms is strict. I guess they're siblings, so they both have the same mom because Abby doesn't have kids. So mom is strict. Why does this one get to be on the internet and that one doesn't? I'm not entirely sure. And what happens if they fail? Nothing. Life just goes back to what it was going to be a couple of days ago. Everything's fine. So we don't have stakes. We don't have a story here. We have too many points of view. People often will ask, well, what am I supposed to do with all these POVs? Okay, so they're not all your protagonists. They're not all your main character. They are important characters, but they are not the main character. So let's look at this other Leanne Moriarty book. I didn't read the one that you comped to, but I read this one. So 9 people gather at a remote health resort. They give some specific reasons why they are all here, but none of them can imagine just how challenging the next 10 days are going to be. Notice it's not like, how challenging will the next 10 days be? And then we could dig into Frances, former best-selling romance novelist, arrives here because of this. She is intrigued because of that. Most of them don't look like, could this person really have the answers Frances didn't even know she was seeking? I don't like that that's a rhetorical question in there, but this is in like the final book blurb. This is not in the query letter. So end readers don't hate rhetorical questions the same way that literary agents and acquiring editors do. And so you're going to see slightly different marketing when you actually get out to the blurb. But that's it. The whole thing is all Frances's point of view. So even though there are 9 points of view, I think there are actually 10 points of view, because I think they're counting on like the 9 people who go to the resort, and then like the owner, the Nicole Kidman character, whatever, like she is also one of them. But there's multiple points of view, and they're all very important to the story, but only one of them is in the blurb here. Let's look at Shilpi's book, since you did comp this one. So we start with a setting and a vibe up here. So to the new home of the Shaw family, who came to America 20 years earlier with little more than an education in their new marriage. And so then we talk about like their family as a cohesive unit, and then their child is arrested. So, and then their rhetorical questions, these ones in here are not questions that can be answered with a yes, no. So how do we define success? What comes with ambition? And what is our role in the modern mosaic of America? So even the books that you are comping to do not have all of these main characters in the query letter. Focus up, find your main character, find your protagonist, find the person who is driving the emotional through line, and give us stakes and all of those 5 questions answered for that one character.